Hey there, it's Chris from Boost Your Bullshit Resilience at Work. Uh, just curious what it would be like for you, fellow leaders, if you lost half your staff. And if you lost half your staff when it's the most expensive time to hire new staff. I'm guessing that would be pretty impactful for you. So I want to go through three pretty astonishing stats from this incredible study the group 24/7 did. I'll put a link below. They get all the credit for this work. I'm just sharing some killer work some other people did. And then I'm going to share two things you can do about it based on brain science research, based on all these leadership best practices, and some brilliant people like Daniel Pink. So let's jump right in. So there's three things I want to call out in the study, and I'm just looking to the side here to make sure I get it 1,000,000% right when I chat with you about it. The first stat I already talked about, and that is up to 44%. So not exactly half, but really close to that, right? 40% of employees say they're only staying with their current employer until basically the economy gets better. Now, the economy in terms of hiring economy, we're probably a year out of that turning around, so you've got some time there. But imagine if, right, it wasn't like it is right now in June of 2024, where it's kind of an employer's market and folks are more hungry for jobs and there's some layoffs and stuff. But flip that, right? And as a leader, you've probably been in a time where it's really expensive to hire people, or you can't get that top talent, and then half your staff leaves, and you still need to do all these things in your growth mode, right? That's an awful place to be in. So, pretty scary stuff, right? Let me jump to a couple more things in this study that they popped out. By the way, this study had like over 3,000 people in it. It had all sorts of different professions, a mix of ages, generations, and all that as well. So it's a pretty well-sourced study. Again, the link will be that below. Two other things I want to bring up. One is nearly two-thirds of those surveyed said they've got a side hustle, right? So they're doing something outside of their work. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? They're folks that are able to do a side hustle, and that might even hone their skill and focus and ability to execute in their 9 to 5 job, as it were, right? I'm not anti-side hustle here at all, but that's an awareness piece that perhaps these side hustles take off for these folks and they could jettison as well, right? And that's probably likely your more top performers that are the go-getters that are doing that. So another hint that we might need to take some action as leaders in our workplaces. And the last stat I want to bring up is an important one. So while it's kind of a squishy thing to measure happiness, this study talks about how happy people are in their job, and less than half said they were happy in their job. Now, the big thing there is this is a massive decrease from the year before. It was 70% were reasonably happy in their job. Now that's down to less than half. So you've got folks ready to leave. You've got folks doing side hustles more than ever, and you got folks less happy, right? So we can look at the data, we can look at those insights and do something about it, or we can be surprised a year or so from now when everyone leaves and it's hard to hire and we have this disaster. I prefer the earlier and not just inheriting a disaster, and I like plans and being prepared, and you probably do too if you're listening to this. So two super simple tips, and I'm probably just reminding you stuff you already know, but sometimes we need those reminders, right? So the traditional sort of leadership stuff talks about paying people more and just being nice to them, and things will just kind of work out. And that has its place, but it only goes so far, right? At a certain point, it's not just about money anymore. It's not just about being treated nice anymore. It's about two things that Daniel Pink brilliantly talks about in his book. It's really autonomy, so ability to work on their own and have some accountability for that, and challenge. So I would encourage you to look at your current staff really quickly, right? Or your coworkers or what have you, and just say, where could I give this person some more responsibility and freedom to execute? You're still going to support them and everything else, but you're also not going to micromanage them daily. So what project effort can you have them own in a supportive way, right? And where can you help them build their mastery and let them do that on their own? Those two little tweaks, I can promise you, will reduce the chance of someone looking to leave, because they're going to have a lot of job satisfaction. They're going to be excited about work. They're going to be a lot more invested instead of this is just a paycheck, right? And then having that autonomy and leadership is really going to grow them, which is our job as a leader, right? So even if the current role at your company isn't perfect, the fact that they were challenged and encouraged has a higher likelihood that they'd at least stay in the company when the world turns around. So two simple things: autonomy and challenge. put those in place and see what happens. I would give it at least a couple weeks to a month to see if you noticed any tweaks or challenges there. And it's a different thing, right? Once someone owns something, they're not going to do it perfectly. They might not do it as well as you do the first time, but given a little effort and time and support, they're going to do it way better than we could do, right? So, two little tiny tweaks to avoid half your staff leaving in a year. Hope that's useful. Feel free to subscribe, share, and all those wonderful things. And I'll put a link below to some other resources that might be really helpful. Have a great day.